Hi everyone, my name is Kartik and my channel is about mental models. In my fourth Systems Thinking mini-series video, I will be talking about the Iceberg model. We've all heard the sayings digging a little deeper or scratching beneath the surface. In a nutshell, this mental model helps us to visualize these sayings and to understand that there is more beneath the surface. The idea is that just as the majority of an iceberg is beneath the water and therefore not in immediate view, many issues have underlying causes that are not immediately visible or apparent. And by visualizing the different levels, which I will come on to shortly, we are able to uncover the hidden causes of problems which we're trying to resolve. By doing so, we can then address the true causes of the problem or issue at hand. I've previously talked about the proximate versus root cause and first principles mental models. And this mental model, the Iceberg model, is connected to both of these as this one, the Iceberg mental model, also helps with identifying root causes. Proximate versus root cause was about the 5 whys method, if you go back to my video, and first principles was about the Socratic questioning method, if you go back to my very first video. And this mental model, the Iceberg model, is about taking a systems thinking approach to get to the underlying or root causes. And so it is another tool in your mental repertoire that you can use with these two mental models and also the other systems thinking mental models too. So we had, if you remember, the drawing like so. And so the Iceberg model is one of these, but just to regurgitate memory, I've just drawn the full thing again. So you've got the other systems thinking mental models and proximate versus root cause and first principles all connected together. So what are the different levels and what do they mean? Now, if you search on the internet, you will find that different people have a different number of levels for their iceberg, but I will use the 4-level Iceberg model here, and this is or should I say these are events, patterns, structures, and finally mental models. Events are the only piece of the iceberg that is above the water. it refers to a single event that happens in the present time. As it is above the water, and so is the water line, as it is above the water, it is the only observable item. The rest of them we can't observe. Patterns. The second level. This is just below the surface, and the surface is the sort of the waterline. It's just below the waterline, and just starting to investigate beneath the surface can reveal a pattern of events or a trend forming. The idea is to see if a trend or a pattern of behavior is actually starting to emerge. That's the whole idea. Going deeper still, structures. This is the third level, and by going deeper we are trying to understand what foundations are creating. So foundations are creating or influencing the patterns above it, and also to understand the connections between the patterns. Structures are also the relationships and feedback loops that make up a system. Another way to look at it is that it is the design of something, of a system or a process or whatever it is that we are analysing. And finally, the fourth level, mental models. These are the values, the beliefs, the assumptions which hold the system together. In order to influence or transform the system, we need to use the mental model level to its full advantage. So if we look at it in reverse, I've sort of gone from the top down to the bottom. If we look at it in reverse, the beliefs or assumptions that a certain way is the only way of working generates a poor, flawed, or lack of a structure. This in turn influences a series of negative outcomes or suboptimal results to happen, and this in turn can lead to another event or another incident in the present time which we can see or take notice of. So let's look at a couple of examples. So I'm just going to actually use a different colour. Let's call it example 1, which is about software development. I'm just going to sort of put some dots here just to separate. So I'm just going to use this diagram, this drawing of the iceberg across this way. So this is the events level, this is the patterns, this portion here is the structure, and this last portion here is the mental models level. So this example is on software development. So we've just noticed a couple of, let's use another colour. We've just noticed a couple of errors in the software version we have just released. This is a single event that has taken place in the present time, and the decision may be to remediate and start fixing these errors. And whilst remediation is necessary, many would sort of stop here and do little else. But further investigating should also happen to understand the underlying or root causes, which will not be apparent from just sort of seeing, oh, there are errors in the software release. So the investigation should look to see if there were errors when there were previous releases of software versions. Let's say in this example there were, and that the vast majority of software releases had errors. So previous releases also had errors that required remedial action. So now that we can see a pattern, i.e., in other words, previous software releases, vast majority of them also needing remedial action because of errors, we can investigate further. We can see that actually this is not just a one-off incident that has happened. This is happening time and time again, a bit too frequently. And so we can go a bit further to investigate and understand why such a pattern is happening. And by doing so, we can see, by doing this investigation, we realize that the company do not have a test plan, so no test plan prior to releases. We also realize that they are releasing software updates fairly regularly, once every month. And due to this, there are tight deadlines imposed by senior management. So the lack of a test plan, the frequency of releases, and tight deadlines are collectively the structure that is in place, and that's contributing to these errors or the patterns above it. And so if we go a level deeper to the mental model level and then investigate further, we can maybe see or understand that employees, all of them, management, everyone, employees value quantity of new releases over quality of those releases. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is there is little pushback or challenge to the tight deadlines that are imposed by senior management. Employees don't really challenge that, they just get on with it. And so by going through the exercise, we can see that the root cause and underlying issue at the mental model level, and if a change can be made there, if we can change this lack of pushback mentality and the valuing quantity over quality of releases, if we can change those values, those beliefs, then this can influence the structure. People think, actually, hang on, we need more time. We shouldn't be releasing code or a software every month. We need to put in a test plan. And consequently, this will influence the levels above it. And ultimately, what will happen is that the pattern of errors in software releases will take care of itself, and fixes after software releases will not be needed. Let's look at another example. Example 2. Let's say employee retention at a company. Now, let's say we have noticed a couple of people have left the organization, and this is the event that we've observed in the present time. Now, the organization could offer a pay rise to the leavers, or a promotion to the leavers, to stop those people from leaving and to keep them in the organization rather than for them to move to a competitor firm. The timing of such an offer is not seen as ideal, but it's still worth a try. However, companies might just stop there, but more should be done to understand why employees are leaving the company. And generally, in this day and age, employees do. So what might that look like? So let's say, looking back over the past few months, we've noticed a few more people have left the organization. So more people left the organization. And so we decide to review the annual employee survey to see if there is any other trend. And the survey reveals that 60% of employees are seriously thinking about leaving their jobs, which compared to the previous year was only 40%. So 60% are thinking of leaving, and it was only 40% before. Digging a little deeper, we see that the company has put in rigid policies around working arrangements. There has been little investment in technologies, which has made the day-to-day of employees tougher than before. And I'll stop there, I could write even more, but let's say these are the structures in place. And so going a level deeper, we're trying to investigate further to see why do we have those structures in place. And so by going a little bit deeper into the mental model level, we see that management has or believe in a certain style of working, which is valuing long hours, monitoring employees, and having archaic processes. And so these beliefs, these values, these assumptions are sort of driving the rigid policies and the lack of investment. And therefore, addressing this underlying problem rather than offering more money to the leavers, which the leaver is probably going to reject anyway, by addressing things here, that will influence or generate a better structure, which will influence the happiness, as it were, of employees, and less individuals will leave the organization. And so ultimately the company will have a happier and more productive workforce. And so by addressing the issue at this level, the levels above it kind of sort themselves out without having to do work at that level. And this is longer lasting than offering a leaver more money, which is reactive rather than being proactive. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And if you haven't already done so, then please watch my previous 3 videos on systems thinking flashing up here, as they are all linked. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.